Welcome to Talking Straight. I'm Suresh Kochattil. The news that Joshimath is sinking has led to front page stories, screaming stories on news channels and endless debates of an impending doom. People are fleeing this holy place with whatever they can. What happened at Joshimath? How did we create this man-made disaster? To start with, Joshimath was a place where no one stayed till Adi Shankara and his tryst for setting up a mutt decided that Jyotirmath would be the place. Of course, now it's called Joshimath. As with any religious institution on that era, Joshimath started attracting pilgrims of all sorts, and it was not much of an issue in those early days. Since then, Joshimath was also an en route to Badrinath and Hemkund Sahib and the Himalayan foothills. In 1976, there was a Mishra committee report that clearly stated that Joshimath was built on a fault plain and is built on a landslide material. That means thousands of years ago, something actually happened. A landslide occurred in the Himalayan area, and the material of that landslide had kept accumulated at Joshimath. And that is where the entire town was built. It gave two important findings, that is the Mishra committee findings. One, the load-bearing capacity of Joshimath strata is very low and heavy urbanization should be avoided at all cost. Homes, flats, hotels have shallow foundation and were built on landslide material that has low load-bearing capacity. Second recommendation, there should not be any heavy construction, as heavy structures need deep foundation so that the foundation is strong, and the construction of such a structure requires a lot of blasting, tunneling that disturbs the geological stress distribution. Joshimath is an ancient pilgrimage site for the Hindus, and as we know is home to the Shankaracharya Peeth. Adi Shankara is said to have performed tapasya here around 1400 years ago, and it's also famous for the Vishnu temple where the Lord is in his Narasimha Avatara. It should have been kept as a pilgrimage center. But no government over the years took the Mishra report seriously. A huge urbanization happened at Joshimath, and as we know, there is no end to human greed. Hotels, apartments were all built, and if this was not enough, there came big dams with power plants and tunnels. In 2005, the then UPA government started to build a huge power plant there, though there are different opinions about it. But some experts say that a tunnel built has punctured a water pocket that further reduced the load-bearing capacity of Joshimath town. One cannot understand this obsession for religious tourism. Religion and tourism are two separate things. If this simple thing that Hindus cannot understand, they should learn from the Jain community. Look at the way the Jains objected to the conversion of the religious shrine in Jharkhand into a tourist spot and got the government to stop the process. Let's look at the Mishra committee report, which was then dumped into the dustbin by all the governments, starting with the Congress government. And that prompted huge urbanization at Joshimath. The population increased drastically. A place that was meant only for temple pilgrimage, sadhaks and meditation became house of dams, tunnels, hotels, ropeways, helipad hotels, you name it. Mother Nature has a way to remind us, those who ignore her. The first hint was given in 2013 at the flood in Kedarnath. The second hint was given in February of 2021 in Joshimath itself, when the glacier burst and the resultant flood killed over 50 people. But no lesson was learnt, and unplanned urbanization work kept going. The World Bank funded projects just kept going at Joshimath. The worst part is that there is no proper sewerage system in Joshimath in the first place. And naturally, when you have a huge population like this, what do? Now that there is no option but to demolish the worst affected homes at Joshimath, and then there is no guarantee that what is left will survive in the days and months to come. An 8-member expert panel has been recommended that houses in the Joshimath with maximum damage should be demolished, and areas which have become inhospitable must be identified, and relocation of people at risk should be done as an immediate measure. Prima facie, it appears that at least 25% of Joshimath's area, which has a population of around 25,000, has been affected by the land subsidence problem. The survey to ascertain the intensity of the damage of the buildings and sundry structures is currently underway. It will put in 3 categories: severe, moderate and slight damages. CM Dhami said that his government will immediately start work on the drainage and the sewerage system, and work will be completed before the monsoon. The area will be divided into sectors and work would be carried out in a planned manner. The Prime Minister's office and the Home Ministry are keeping a watch on the situation and is being provided with the updates on the matter. In 2022, close to 5 crore tourists, 3.8 crore Kanwar Yatris and 45 lakh Char Dham pilgrims visited Uttarakhand. While 2022 emerged as the most successful year in terms of footfalls, it has simultaneously raised several questions about the infrastructure availability, the carrying capacity of hill towns, and the scientific study, assessment, and several other key factors related to the well-being of mountains and their residents. Joshimath saw as many as 4.9 lakh visitors in 2019, 4.3 lakh visitors in 2018, 2.4 lakh visitors in 2017. So we see an increase all along. On similar lines, the Char Dham towns had 24 lakh devotees in 2017, and that number nearly doubled to 45 lakh in 2022 in just 5 years. The burden on the two main hill stations, Mussoorie and Nainital too, is on the rise. Barring the two seasons which were impacted during the COVID pandemic of 2020 and 21, there has been a significant increase in the number of tourists there also. In 2017, Mussoorie, for example, had 27 lakh visitors, 30 lakh visitors in 2018 and 2019, 10 lakh in 2020 when the COVID impact took place, and of course 12 lakh in 2021 when the COVID impact was still there. Similarly, 9.1 lakh tourists visited Nainital in 2017. That number increased to 9.3 lakh in 2018 and 2019 too. 2.1 lakh in 2020 and 3.3 lakhs in 2020. We need to learn from the experience of Joshimath. A scientific study of hill towns need to be conducted to know their actual carrying capacity from the visitors and locals' point of view. In 1976, there were just few thousand people in Joshimath, but due to the migration, the number has now gone up to over 25,000. There is a limit for each town and what it can take, and we need to keep that in mind. It cannot be a simple counting of hotel, dharmashalas and homestay rooms and multiplying it by any number so as to get an estimate. Professionals need to be engaged who can study the soil, the mountains and calculate the carrying capacity and assess the vulnerability risk. There is a need for stringent building bylaws and provisions against building over the permissible height. If we don't become alert now, it would not be shocking to say that Joshimath is the start of it all. Many other Joshimath-like incidents are waiting to happen in Uttarakhand and other Himalayan regions. And it's just a matter of days, weeks and months, and maybe years before a similar incident again happens. We have to manage and mitigate the situation in Joshimath. There's no other choice. There is no management right now, and it is just a matter of mitigation that is going on. But at other locations, we have to manage and mitigate. Let's look at the Western Ghats down south in the country. The Western Ghats is another ecologically sensitive zone that has seen numerous instances of landslides and loss of life and property in Kerala and Karnataka especially. A Western Ghats ecology expert panel headed by Professor Madhav Gadgil was set up as a committee constituted to study the issue at depth. The Madhav Gadgil committee recommended indefinite moratorium on new environmental clearances for mining in ecologically sensitive areas 1 and 2. It also recommended a phasing out of mining from the ESZ1 for the next 5 years, a phase out of all chemical pesticides within 5 to 8 years in EZ1 and ESZ2. It also recommended continuing the existing mining in ecologically sensitive zone under 2 under strict regulation and with an effective social audit mechanism. The Madhav Gadgil committee also prohibited new red and orange category status industries such as coal-based plants in ecologically sensitive zones of 1 and 2. The committee report also said that the existing red and orange category industries should switch to zero pollution norms in ecologically sensitive zones 1 and 2 by 2016, and that never happened, and has to be operated only under an effective social audit mechanism. The cultivation of genetically modified crops was banned to end the entire region by the Madhav Gadgil committee report. No new special economic zones or hill stations or dams or railway lines or major roads in ecologically sensitive zones was recommended by the committee. A ban on the conversion of public lands into private lands and of diversion of forest land into non-forest purposes in ECZ 1 and 2 areas was also recommended. The Madhav Gadgil committee also said regulation of tourism is required, and none of the 6 concerned states actually accepted the committee report. The states are mostly in the southern part of India, starting from Kerala onwards to Maharashtra and Goa and Karnataka. In August 2012, a high-level working group on Western Ghats under Dr. Kasturi Rangan was constituted to examine the Gadgil committee report, because most of the states actually rejected it because of political reasons. A holistic and multidisciplinary fashion in the light of the responses received from the various stakeholders was actually taken up by the Kasturi Rangan committee. The committee report proposes 37% of the total area of Western Ghats, which is roughly about 60,000 square kilometers, to be declared as eco-sensitive area. Out of these, 20,668 square kilometers of area falls in Karnataka, covering about 1,576 villages. The report recommended a blanket ban on mining, quarrying and setting up of red category industries and thermal power projects. If you look at, most of this were there in the Madhav Gadgil committee report also. It also stated that the impact of the infrastructure projects on the forest and wildlife should be studied before giving permission. It said that a UNESCO heritage tag is an opportunity to build and actually exploit the domestic recognition of industries of natural wealth that exist in the Western Ghats. The 39 sites located across the Western Ghats are widely distributed across the states of Kerala, where there are 19 such spots. Karnataka has 10, Tamil Nadu has 6 and Maharashtra has 4 sites. We need development, but we also need to protect our environment. Because the entire 2 committee reports of both the Madhav Gadgil and Kasturi Rangan was rejected by this thing. Naturally, we need to balance our environment and development, or we will have more of Joshimath-like tragedies popping up frequently. We will have to become more serious towards our environment and future of our children. But if politicians have it, and as political parties have it, as is happening in Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and other places in the Western Ghat region, by rejecting the Madhav Gadgil and Kasturi Rangan committee reports, they are playing to the gallery. And naturally, there is a huge disaster waiting to happen. We need to take things seriously. Thank you for watching. Jai Hind.
Please subscribe to Nationalist Hub English channel for more interesting videos, and don't forget to like and share this video. Nationalist Hub, it's a news revolution.